All right, hello everybody, I'm Trent. I'm not able to be with my teammates today, but they were nice enough to let me do this for my portion of the presentation. And question 4 for our team was, does the team think that mobile music will become an open market or a closed market? And then support your answer as to why that we believe that. But first off, we'll start with some definitions before if I tell you whether we think it's going to be an open or a closed market in the future of mobile music. For an open market, it's just kind of like an unrestricted market with free access between the competition of buyers and sellers. So anyone can come in. A good example would pretty much just be like, I'd say probably a clothing market because there's so many different brands of clothes. Anyone can come and go in any given moment of time. And for a closed market, it's pretty much the opposite. It's just a market where the supplier deals with only one agent for the most part, and there's only one big dog selling the thing in that market. And for a while, Apple was pretty much a closed market on the digital music players with their iPods. Digital music revenue, I'll start with that. In 2005, it was just 7%. By 2006, it was already up 10 full percent to 17%, and then 2 years after 2006 and 2008, all the way up to 25%. So record labels, etc., they were really starting to figure out that digital music was going to have to be a huge part instead of just CD sales, concerts, and so forth. So the digital music started to kind of revolutionize, if that is a word, I should say, the music industry and where to make money. And in 2005, that year that we saw the digital music kind of start to spike, was the first year actually that digital music players outsold CD players. So iPods were the main catalyst in this, along with a couple other MP3 player brands. But Apple absolutely dominated the digital music player market. 2006, 70 to 80% of the digital music players that were sold were iPods, branded by Apple, of course. Some companies such as Sony, Samsung, and more smaller parties tried to emerge, but they could just never compete with Apple's dominance. So in the digital music player market, Apple was obviously the first mover, and they were head and shoulders above everybody else in that category. But then the issue came about, can they converge the two types of media between a phone and a digital music player, and then of course make that into one, to where instead of carrying an iPod and a cell phone, you can just carry one, like what we see today with iPhone and Android. But we'll get to a little bit more between that later. Apple, in 2006, there's a lot of kind of differing opinions as if that would work. There was only 10% of phones on the market that had music functionality, and that was just 7 years ago. So many wondered if it could ever come about and be successful, and as today we have. But in 2006, there was international success with it. Actually, Vodafone had a partnership with the phone, and their downloads were $2.75 a song, but they sold over 1 million downloads on their mobile phones in just 4 months. And then O2 was another one who broke into that market kind of first. Apple was, of course, kind of the first one to do this, but contrary to popular belief, they actually did it, and they partnered up with the Motorola Rocker and Singular Wireless. The Motorola Rocker was the first music downloadable phone on the market here in the United States, and it was an absolute failure. There wasn't enough memory, it wasn't fast enough, and it just didn't work. It was an absolute flop for Apple, and that just actually ended up raising more questions about whether or not Apple and the mobile music industry could come about. But then, of course, there was the future technology, and people kept prying at it after Apple worked, and it started to come about. And now we have the Android and the iPhone kind of debate for the mobile music revolution. As, of course, iPhone, iPod, and iTunes are kind of a partnership, and then Android has their own thing, and Google Music came about as well. So that's why we think it is an open market for the mobile music industry, because Apple and Android, even though that is just two of them that take up more than 90% of the market, they're still competing at it. iPhone actually just passed Android with 48.1% of the mobile market, and Android is at 46.7%, so pretty good competition between the two of them. But the main reason that we think Apple is going to be the leader in this open market is because of brand loyalty. And the definition of brand loyalty out of the glossary, which is the word that we used in the paper, was it's a decision-making mode in which consumers repeatedly choose to buy the same brand of product to fulfill a specific need. For example, I know we have Bryce, who sits right behind us. He has his MacBook and GarageBand, and obviously that's going to be a brand loyalty for him because now he's familiar with GarageBand. He uses it a lot. No, I have a couple brand loyalties. I like to buy Nike for the most part for my brand loyalty, as well as Callahan brake pads for my cars. That's a joke. If anyone's seen Tommy Boy, they get it. But does anyone else have any brand loyalties? You can just shout it out to my teammates. It takes about 8 seconds to process and shout it out. So just shout out a few of your brand loyalties here. All right, well, the 8 seconds is gone. I'm sure most of you probably stood there and stared at my teammates and didn't say anything, but I'm sure all of you have brand loyalties, and we believe that is why Apple will continue to be the leader in the market, but we do believe that the mobile music industry will become a mobile market. And now we will turn it toward question number 5. Thank you for your time and attention.